Warm welcome to Gayfield Creative Spaces and our bunker venue, and the third of this year's Gayfield Talks about wealth creation through creative industry, and the particular route through creative hubbing. We were enthralled by Chris Fleet and Anna Findhook and their mapping talk last Tuesday, exhibition upstairs, and walks midweek and at the weekend. We enjoyed hearing from Gunnar Groves Rains about the Maker Library Journey, the Great British Council initiative, Caravan of Design, you saw it coming in, exhibition and workshops until the end of the week. And tonight I hope our three-strong team of power women will entertain you with talk of energy and wealth creation through creative hubs. Before we kick off, a word about Walk This Way, the art and design of collaboration, our overall name for the summer programme. I've been really inspired in the last 18 months since launching Gayfield by many people who share our interests and have sometimes come here to do some collaborative work. I'm going to highlight just three from a very large number. Brianna's here from the Edinburgh Student Art Festival. Hi Brianna. A fantastic, unique collaboration in my experience in February, March this year, drawing together all 5 of the universities in a very wonderful creative arts and design project. I've never seen it happen before, where all the institutions came together, so it was a fantastic effort. Thanks very much, Brianna. Morven and Duncan Bremner of Creative Leith, who you'll see some information about around the place. An extraordinary burgeoning project, granted great funding. And Fiona Logue and her team at Craft Scotland, who, if you only shop one place in Edinburgh this year, shop at the top floor of White Space on George Street. They have a fantastic collaborative makers market there. For some years, I've had great pleasure of meeting young designers and their tutors at the schools of design across Scotland, in particular in Edinburgh. I'm going to mention Queen Margaret University, Napier, Edinburgh College of Art, Heriot-Watt School of Design and Textiles, and the Edinburgh College, more recently founded, with a nod to the great schools elsewhere, my friend and colleague Nicholas Oddy here from Glasgow. All hotbeds of talent, of course. So it's particularly a great pleasure tonight that I can introduce the first beneficiary of the Gayfield New Design Graduate Programme. We've devised a 12-month programme with some collaborative support from the Prince's Trust, with a dedicated studio space, a locality design project that person will lead, and 2 industry events in January and June. And I'd like to play a short piece from this year's 2015 recipient, Kate Cavan. You'll forgive me, Lynsey, we're going to minimise you.
Please do.
And I'm going to try and find what I want, which is here. And do I drag this across? I think I do. Gosh. Janine's giving me a hand with this technology, otherwise it'll be disastrous.
There has been a growing understanding of creativity and how the development of creative thinking in young people can underpin effective learning and achievement. However, classrooms still lack the space in which to encourage this. This product is designed with the primary function to engage and promote creative thinking and learning.
Right, let's get some nice creative leaves. That's good, Holly. Would you like one of these in your house? So were you sitting at the little table?
Yeah.
And did you like the table?
Yeah.
Quite nice to sit at that rather than a boring school desk.
Yeah. That's boring.
Did you like decorating it?
Yeah.
You think it's good so you can do all those things?
Yeah.
Wish
I had it.
You wish you had it in your classroom? What about the little seats and the desks? What do you like
I
to
wish I had it in my house.
do? You? Quite big to fit in your house, isn't it?
I need to go on living room.
Would you like to have one of these in your school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
And I should be like in my house.
You like it in your house as well?
I would love it for Christmas.
Oh, would you? Well, maybe you could ask Santa.
I would like to.
This product has a simple yet unique versatility to which children can play, learn and create.
dumped Kate in it and asked her to come and speak, but I just wanted briefly to say we've been liaising with St Mary's Primary School opposite, and Kate's going to lead a design project called Winter Garden for Gayfield. We're going to set up a small flower bed in January and February in the gardens outside, which are also featured on our walks programme. We've had the P6 prototyping, some creatures that will hang, and it's a winter garden. We're going to light it up using cycle dynamo technology. Kate's tree will sit in the middle, and we'll have dynamo lit lights coming out for it. I hope you'll come and enjoy it at that time. Just congratulations to Kate.
Yes.
Okay, Janine, can you get Lynsey back on the screen for me? So to tonight's talk, Hubbing for Creatives. It's a tricky time for new designers when you just graduate, and there are routes to something akin to wealth, if you get it right. And one of those routes is to work in collaborative hubs. Collaborative hubs can emerge and work with their locality, so both within the hub, there's some wealth creation for designers, and within the locality they're based, there's some wealth creation. When you join up those dots, that term creative economy starts to make sense, and across Scotland, these facilities, collaborative facilities, do contribute a lot to wealth creation in our country. It's great to be introducing these three women to you tonight. Live from London, from British Council headquarters, Lynsey Smith, lead for Sub-Saharan Africa and a project manager for the European Hub Network. Lynsey will correct me, I've got that probably hopelessly wrong. Karen Parkinson, who I owe personal thanks to for her encouragement, coffee and cake in the last 6 months. And, well, Janine Matheson, a woman who needs no introduction to the creative community in Edinburgh. She has a tenacity and a maker's strategic mind, and our city's all the richer for having her here. You're not allowed to go to London. So I'm going to hand over now to Karen Parkinson. Thanks very much.
Welcome, and thank you for coming to see us tonight and braving the rain after yesterday's glorious sunshine. You deserve an extra drink at the end of tonight. So the format for this evening will be that I'll say a few words. I will introduce Janine to speak for about 10 minutes. I'll introduce Lynsey to speak for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to open the floor for discussion. I'd love you to ask questions, but also to make contributions from your experience in a hub or a network, or in your city, or whatever. If you feel like I feel your pain, just even say I've experienced that, feel free to contribute. And we'll probably look at wrapping around 7:45 to 8. If you dry up, I shall try and jump in with a question and let you think about a question, and hopefully we'll keep the flow going, and then afterwards John will wrap and there will be another drink. So it's informal. Please feel free to relax and chip in and feel that you're with family, because you're part of a creative family. So John has put together this panel partly because of its interconnectedness. I was Director of Creative Industries, Film and TV, Music and Skills and Innovation at Creative Scotland for 4 years, and last year I left and went freelance as a Creative Industries consultant and photographer. During my period at Creative Scotland, I was interested in how people who are graduating, or people who are returning to their first love of their craft, or whatever it may be, could be facilitated and supported to make that into a way to make a living for themselves. Maybe wealth, or maybe just paying the bills. It's whatever. There's a spectrum, and anyone can be on that, wherever they want to be in that spectrum. But I wanted to find out what this sector needed to flourish. What does it need? Did it need incubation spaces? I created an incubation fund. Did it need innovation funding to start a new idea up? Did it need? And part of that was the hubs and networks that came out from the sector, and that's how I met Janine and Lynsey, who ran the first hub that I ever got involved in, which was Creative Edinburgh, Creative Network. And Janine is the director and continues to be so, and then Lynsey moved on to the British Council to run what she's doing, as John mentioned, the Creative Economy Team Programme Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe. And she has carried on flying the flag, good girl, for hubs, by actually starting an EU Creative Hubs Forum, but I'll let her speak about that rather than me. So I just wanted to let you know the context of why me and why I'm here, and how I know these lovely ladies. I will try and keep the flow going, but I'm also looking to you to ask questions and contribute. So, Janine, would you like to tell us about Creative Edinburgh?
Yeah, okay. So just firstly want to say thank you to John for inviting me to speak to you all today. John has been doing a fantastic job at Gayfield Creative Spaces, and I had the pleasure actually of sharing an office with him for a wee bit last year. So yeah, thank you, and also for braving the weather. I'm not very loud a speaker, so if you can't hear me, do the wee signal. I'm going to kind of project my voice a wee bit more. This is me in Orkney on a creative residency. My background is in visual art. I was an artist and kind of got involved in things like Cultural Enterprise Office, which is a fantastic organisation that helps to support individuals and businesses that are looking to kind of keep doing what they do in the creative industries. And I am Director of Creative Edinburgh. Just trying to move these slides. Can you move that? PC. Oh, there we go. So I don't know how many of you know about Creative Edinburgh, but basically we're a network of just under 2,000 creative members. They span all of the creative and cultural industries, and we do have some more kind of tech startups sneaking into our network. So these are the kinds of things we do. So I've kind of narrowed it into 4 areas. So we help to develop skills. We do a lot of events, networking events, professional development type workshops. We also do a mentoring program that helps people that are maybe facing a particular challenge or a new thing within their practice that they want to look at. We also help people to focus on growing their business or their practice. So as well as people that want to kind of run a creative industry business, we have a lot of practitioners, so artists and musicians that all they really care about is sustaining their practice and developing creatively, so we look after that. We also do a lot of promoting our members. I've got a slide sort of later on that shows what kind of digital platforms we're on. We do sort of members videos, which we've got one of John and some of our other members that might be here tonight, that talk a wee bit about what they do, and we help to promote the network out to other types of businesses that actually want to employ or contract creatives. And that can be in Edinburgh, but it's also a bit wider than that as well in the UK. A massive thing what we do as well is making your voice heard. So I spend a lot of my time meeting individuals, meeting groups, meeting organisations, finding out what they do, but also what their challenges are. What are the things that are a barrier to their practice or growing their business or their organisation. And we've started to develop really strong links and relationships with our local authority, with public sector bodies like British Council and Creative Scotland and other fantastic organisations. And we help to sort of bring that voice a bit more cohesively to the table. So, for instance, a big thing at the moment is around, for some of our businesses that are part of Creative Edinburgh, is around procurement. Some bigger public agencies find it difficult to contract freelancers, and that's a real issue. And as freelancing and self-employment is growing quite rapidly in the creative industries, and that's something that we want to address head on. So we're kind of actively putting pressure on the people that make those decisions and sort of influence policy. So this is kind of a bit of a visual example of some of the events that we run. As creatives ourselves, we want networks that networking events and things that we go to be fun and creative as well. So we spend a lot of time almost curating the environment that we do the events in, thinking about the speakers that we ask to come along, and also networking for a long time had a kind of bit of a negative kind of vibe about it. I remember when I first graduated from art college, and I thought, God, I really need to go out and meet people and network. And I went along to a few things that were really businessy network and suits and very formal, and I literally was the person shrinking in the corner, hating every second of it, and I felt really alienated by the whole experience, and I thought, oh my god, I'm never going to be able to kind of build these relationships that I need to grow my business, to develop my career. So Lynsey and I, when we set up Creative Edinburgh, were incredibly mindful of that informality and also that openness and friendliness of when you come to something new, and that kind of, that fear of not quite knowing what to expect. So if you haven't been to a Creative Edinburgh event, I really encourage you to come along, and we will look after you. It's a family. So these are some of the kind of things that we do. We do speed networking, so it kind of forces you to make connections, and it also is really, really good if you're trying to polish up how you talk about yourself in like a minute. So by the end of that, after meeting 60 people, you'll be like rolling that 30-second pitch off the roof of your tongue. We do an event called Creative and Corporate Love, which is about bringing the business community with our creatives. And that's really about opening doors for jobs and freelance contracts, and also for the business community to be inspired by us, and for us to learn about the amazing things that businesses do. Especially in Edinburgh, there's some incredible companies developing really cool processes and systems that sometimes creatives maybe are a bit like sneery about business, but actually they've got they're incredibly innovative, and we can learn a lot from them. So there are a couple of the things that we kind of do. I've just thrown this slide in to give you an idea of kind of the breadth of our membership. So Hot Rum Cow is a creative agency and publishing house called Twilight Media, who are an amazing company. And this is one of the kind of projects that they do, Hot Rum Cow, which is a magazine about alcohol, which is something close to my heart. In the top right, we have Emily Milichip, who's an independent fashion designer and seamstress, and she's based in a wonderful creative hub in the city called Edinburgh Palette. It's changed its name. So these are kind of flavour of who we work with and who are our members. And I also popped in a picture of some of the Codebase team. So Codebase is a tech incubator that's in Edinburgh, and they have incredible startup and tech companies in there who are very interested in connecting more with our creative community. So if you don't know about them, Google Codebase and have a look at what they do. So I suppose I'll backtrack a wee bit about Creative Edinburgh. So we set up in November 2011. We had a bit of grant support from the City of Edinburgh Council in economic development, and part of that grant was devolved funding from Creative Scotland. So we were really lucky that we had a sort of 3-year little pot of kind of seed funding, basically to kickstart the network. And Lynsey and I got involved because we both were really, really keen to sort of help others along their way, but also grow a network that we're all helping each other. So 2 photographers that in most cases would feel like they're competing against each other. They're still obviously maybe going for the same types of clients, but it's trying to reframe that and think, actually together we're stronger, we can help each other, we can learn about different things together, but also run our own businesses separately. So it's all about peer support whatever stage in your creative career. So a big part of running a network or a hub is your digital voice. We were running on an extremely tiny budget, and Lynsey will probably just laughing there, but yeah, it was incredibly tight. So as a creative, you're incredibly resourceful, so you use free tools. So we got on everything that we possibly could that was free. So we built website, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're now testing out Periscope and WhatsApp and Snapchat, all those kind of bonkers things that starting to, I'm losing touch with all the new tools, but I have a really great younger person that's kind of who's totally on all that stuff. So building a physical network was really important, but also building and amplifying this digital network and thinking of ways to connect the two. So always about conversations, always about listening to people, and kind of matchmaking as well. So that's some of our digital voice. I've got a very quick video that, do I have time to play it? We'll do it at the end. Let's do it at the end. Sorry, I've got a few more slides.
That's good.
If I can move to the next slide. Yes. So the Creative City Network Review, as well as building up a network in Edinburgh with lots of Edinburgh creatives, it's incredibly important to be connected out with your city. So right from the very start, Lynsey and I we knew about Creative Dundee, which had started as a digital blog and was just about kind of promoting what kind of creative things were happening in the city. And that was run by Janine Matheson, who you can see with the lovely red top there. So we were kind of connecting with Creative Dundee, and we found out about Creative Stirling and AB+, which is a network in Aberdeen. There's now Perthshire Create and Create in Fife. There's things springing up all over the place. And they all tend to be run by one or maybe two people doing it in their part-time or doing it full-time, and lots of different types of models of networks. So it's really, really important that we're learning all the time and we're inspired by each other, and we share things that we learn along the way, because if we're saying to our members, peer support and share what you learn and kind of skill share and give advice, we lead by example as well. So we do the same thing. We're very open about what we're doing and what worked and what was disastrous with the different cities. So as we were kind of informally meeting a lot, we approached Creative Scotland to say, look, the networks are starting to grow, we plug into lots of other support that's going on in the sector, and we're making real impact, but we don't necessarily have the resource, or we haven't really looked at how we drill down what our impact is long term. So with Caroline's team in the kind of creative industries part of Creative Scotland, they commissioned some research into our three networks, so Creative Edinburgh, Dundee and Stirling, all slightly different business models, different networks, but there was a thread of collaboration, and there was similarities between challenges and successes. So it was a really interesting piece of work, and this is a wee picture of the event that we held, which just talked a wee bit about what our impact is to date. So you can find that report there, and John can share this later if he wants to. So through that, I started working more closely with Creative Dundee. I'm going to very much skip this photo. That's Creatives Collaborate, our joint Christmas party, Creative Edinburgh, Creative Dundee, which leads to the Creative HubKit. Now Lynsey's going to talk more about the context of how we got commissioned to do it, but I'm just going to talk really, really quickly about what types of things we looked at and who's it for and why we did it. So the Creative HubKit was written in collaboration with Creative Dundee, and it's a HubKit made by emerging hubs. So there's lots of things that we don't know, but there's lots of things that we've learned along the way. So we're kind of coming to our fourth year. We've made lots of mistakes and learned lots of lessons along the way, and we wanted to kind of share that with others. And there's also many other different shapes and sizes of hubs all across the UK and Europe. And we wanted a way that we could kind of highlight who are doing really interesting things, so other people that are maybe thinking about setting up a hub or a network or a digital group could kind of learn from it. So it's really practical guide, there's some tools in it, lots of questions, so you can start thinking about, well, is this for me, what kind of things are involved in it. So here are a couple of screenshots of the HubKit. Again, the link you can find out. So it talks about how we define what a hub is. So I kind of describe Creative Edinburgh as more like a network, but it's also defined as a hub. So it kind of gives you an idea of, what are we talking about and what kind of things. So Gayfield Creative Spaces, for example, is a creative hub, and it kind of links between studio and centre, but it's also part of a cluster and it's also part of a network. So these things kind of merge together and kind of blur around the edges. I suppose this is an image of the content, which is a wee bit blurry, but basically we really focused on the people side of building a network and a hub. It's about knowing who you're trying to bring together. And again, that can be physically or digitally. I suppose the HubKit, as well as being useful for people thinking of setting up a hub or joining a hub or kind of learning about alternative business models, or a big thing for all of us is how are we sustainable in this quite economically challenging time that we're all in, and how do we experiment, and how do we change, and how do we grow? And it's all really exciting stuff, so we've tried to kind of filter all that excitement and put it in the hub. And another side to it is it also helps funders and support organisations, local authorities, the public and private sector understand what the hell these hubs are, because we are a wee bit kind of blurry. We don't like to define ourselves all the time. We like to kind of do one thing, and we also are quite chameleon, and we like transform into something else. And we don't want to be pinned down in a box. And unfortunately for a funder or a support organisation, that is a total nightmare. It's a total nightmare. And it's been very challenging for us to try and make the case of what our impact is long going. But you know, it's just life. So the HubKit helps to kind of unravel what on earth we're doing, and how can that affect our cities, how can it help to upskill people, how does it help to actually collaborate between business, between science, between all these amazing things that we all need to be collaborating a wee bit more. So it's very exciting. What else have we got? Some more images of this awesome HubKit, which we'll must read tonight. And then so if you want to contact me, please do. Sorry, that's a bit of a roller coaster ride of us, but that's our website and my email address. I can share with you later. Thanks so much. Thank you.
So now we're going to hand over to Lynsey. It's like you're on the panel.
Fabulous. I'll just sit just in front of you.
Okay, Lynsey, fire away.
Is that okay for
Your audience is all yours.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see faces rather than looking at them faces. So I was just going to take on from Janine, talk a bit about where I come from, where I am, and what we're working on just now is hubs related. As Janine mentioned, we launched Creative Edinburgh together in 2011, and I was part of the journey for 2 years until I left my beloved Janine, who I miss every day. And I think Janine really encapsulated exactly what it was like for us when we started, because we literally had no space. When we started Creative Edinburgh, we didn't even have a space to work from, so we actually started working from a lot of our member spaces, which was really useful for us because we got to know who our members were. And we also went around a lot of people who didn't like what Creative Edinburgh was beforehand, in order to make sure it never became that thing again, and it definitely hasn't. So I think probably Janine and I's kind of maverick nature helped us in that way. But as Janine also mentioned with hubs, it's one of those kind of unknown models still. It's still very new, it's still a movement that a lot of people are trying to get their head around in terms of what the model is, what the business model is, how can funders fund it. So like the creative economy, it wasn't mapped until 1992, where they actually realised 8% of the economy was made up of the creative industries. We're in a similar position with hubs, where they're popping up everywhere, they're kickstarting the economy, but actually we don't have any significant mapping or stats that can confirm how important they are to the ecosystem. When Janine and I set up Creative Edinburgh, we had to do a lot of advocacy, and still a lot of people who could really have helped us along the way, who still just didn't really grasp the impact of a hub on the city, particularly Edinburgh. You know, we're looking at Creative Edinburgh on the city of Edinburgh. Luckily, we had people like Caroline from Creative Scotland, and we had some Jim Galloway from the City of Edinburgh Council, who kind of understood it. And I don't feel that there's a lot of councils, apart from Dundee Council and Aberdeen Council in Scotland, that actually are supporting this and really have a good grasp on it. So it kind of lay on our hands to really push the agenda and develop a model that can be replicated. And our business model has been replicated by quite a lot of hubs, which James mentioned, AB Positive in Aberdeen, and a few kind of centre built ones, and obviously part of a bigger kind of creative network. But from the very beginning, I used to run a thing called Creative Entrepreneurs Club at the Lighthouse, which was a networking hub as well. And from the very beginning, I've just always been so interested in the idea of together we're stronger. And no matter whether that's sector specific or process planning, I just feel that if we all come together like a political movement, we can create a creative movement. And I feel that hubs have become that kind of voice, that unequivocal voice that has sparked out of the need of the community rather than coming from above. Where hubs have developed really well are places where they've been run by people who have worked in the creative industries and have got really good links with the community. I've heard of some really disastrous hubs across Europe that have spurred a lot of money, we've had multi-million pounds worth of money from the government, but they've given it a nice shiny building and fast broadband and never really been enough to create a kind of movement. So it's really down to people in the community that run, and Creative Edinburgh was always a hub or network that was developed for the community, by the community, so steering groups, one-to-ones, questionnaires, everything was always in touch. And Jane is still leading the battle with almost 2,000 members, so I'm so incredibly proud of her. And then I decided I was getting a bit, I think Jane and I felt really frustrated at times when we felt that the network or the model wasn't really being appreciated in a way that it could be in terms of making a change for different elements for city, for practitioners, for movements. And I felt that by moving to the British Council, by joining a public organisation, I could kind of attack that from another side. As Janine mentioned, and Caroline as well, I'm not really very good at being put in a box, so joining an organisation like the British Council definitely took a while for me to adapt to, but it provided me with the opportunity to try and push the movement further and to try and create more of a platform for it and to push best practice that's happening in Scotland through networks like Creative Edinburgh. So yeah, we at the British Council, as soon as I started, I basically put together a kind of steering group of eight hubs from across the UK. The ones from Scotland are, of course, Janine, Gillian from Creative Edinburgh, Helen from Whisky Bond, and Jane from Code Base. And along the way, these guys, main guys, and the rest on the group have been kind of helping me stay on the piece. Because although I've run two hubs, I'm now part of a kind of machine, and hubs are nimble, flexible species that change, are ever-changing pieces that I've been away from it for 2 years, and I need to keep connected to the sector. So I feel that steering groups are incredibly invaluable, and Janine still runs one for Creative Edinburgh, which has been really valuable for that. So for the last 2 years, they've been great at kind of informing the programme and what we do. And I did a kind of test programme in Porto, in North Portugal, last February, and we were brought together 40 hubs from across Europe just to say, look, we've got some mind to do some work here, this is what we're thinking, but what do you think? Where do you think the British Council should play in all this? What support should it give? We're not a funder organisation per se, we're more developing programmes or internationalising practitioners in the UK internationally, so how can we use our status and networks to help hubs in the UK? And also the word hub is a kind of a debated word as well. I mean, what does hub mean? And being down in England, a lot of people keep thinking I'm saying pub, so that's quite an interesting moment. Hubs are anything from collectives to studios to cooperatives to spaces, whether it's virtual or physical spaces. It can be sector specific or it can be cross-disciplinary. Basically, hub is anywhere that brings creative people together. If you think about it, if you're freelance or you're working on your own, or you're just graduated and you want to work on your own, then you're on your own. You don't have a human resource department to help you set up things. You don't have finance to help you set up. You don't have someone that you can go to if you're unwell to help pay your wages. You're really alone in the world as a freelancer, and hubs and networks give that feeling of bringing people together and exchanging your knowledge and helping each other, not competing, collaborating. And networks like Creative Edinburgh offer people a space to come to share their problems with. A lot of people are freelance and their partners aren't freelance, so who understands you better than other freelancers? And I think Creative Edinburgh was really born out of that, bringing people together and uniting people with a similar kind of agenda and motive, similar problems as well as similar strengths. So since we've been at British Council, we did that development portal to try and understand what programming we could do for British Council. And from that, we developed first, it's called European Creative Hubs Forum. We really like the titles in British Council. It's my fault, completely my programme. Where we brought together all of our 200 hubs from UK, from across Europe, North Africa and Middle East. In Lisbon in January, and Janine and Janine and Karen were there to talk about funding, about support, about exchange, about collaboration. The main issue with hubs is that they burn out because they're new models, they're new nimble models that a lot of people still haven't got their heads around. So how can we create something that helps sustain hubs and that they, after a year or two, they don't burn out and they don't leave and leave the community left alone. So we're talking about funding, we're talking about exchanges, talking about professional development for hub managers. If you look at people who run spaces, they are from a very big variety of kind of backgrounds. Some come from design, some come from kind of freelance across disciplines, some are real estate managers, some are council bodies. If you look at everyone's background, very different, and there's no kind of set rule of how to run a hub, and so everyone's kind of learning from the ground up. So that's why a lot of people run spaces really learn a lot from being together with other people who are running similar spaces, so that they can help and exchange ideas. So from the European Creative Hub Forum, we decided to develop the HubKit, which Janine and Janine have developed for us, and that was to do with coming back to that point of there's no set formula, but we do know what not to do. And I just felt that from Janine's experience and Janine's experience alone, coming from two different business models, I thought we had a lot to share. So we commissioned them to develop our online kind of toolkit, and they don't know yet, but there's quite a lot of interest to do with for Sub-Saharan Africa, and people are talking about it there. And it's been incredibly useful for all of us actually, just to put down, where can you find how to run a space? Anyone who's running even a gallery or a space or any kind of movement can use the HubKit to help, I suppose, structure that as well, because it's all about creating advocacy, loyal leadership, community building, business models, finance models. There's things in there that are kind of transferable as well. So yeah, I think there could be room for movement with that. And also from that, we're now we're developing a bid, an EU bid, which we're just about to submit it, so we don't know, there's quite a lot of competition, so we don't know whether we've got it or not. We'll find it later in the year, but fingers crossed. And that would be like a 2-year programme to further support hubs across Europe and running exchanges, running leadership kind of development courses, running more kind of meetups, so other forums in Portugal, Athens, in the UK, and just basically bring people together. We've been working with someone called Jonathan Robinson, I don't know if you've heard, who set up Impact, which is now called Impact Hub, which is a kind of franchise model. He's now left there and is developing other things. He's developing a hub for the Guardian actually at the moment, and we've asked him to put together a kind of network for people to start mapping and put their details down, so we can start understanding where our kind of hubs are across Europe. We've got a beta version just now, it's called Open Movement. I can send John the link because it's a bit of a long link, and you can pass it around. But yeah, you can have a look to see where hubs are kind of springing up. I mean, at the moment, even by January in Lisbon there, we had 500 hubs mapped across Europe, but we know there's way more than that, and we need to try and figure out a way to map that so that, like we did 20 years ago with the creative economy in general, we actually start to understand where the hubs are and we can start to lobby that upwards to get people to understand the importance of supporting them. Hubs are probably the most misunderstood kind of entities at the moment because they're so different and there's no set rule. But they're also one of the most important and valuable models in kickstarting the economy, and pulling people together and helping people grow and train and collaborate. Finish.
Just could you maybe wind up your thought for now, and then you can maybe explain more during the Q&A?
Of course. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Sorry, interrupted your flow.
Say again, Harry?
I interrupted your flow.
No. I think I'm pretty much finished, but please download the HubKit, please go on to Creative Edinburgh events. As Janine said, we would never go to a craft event, so we would never design one. And also see that no one's got any kind of labels on as well, which is great, because I was never very good at going to events where your name was written across your left boot. So that's always a good sign. But yeah, no, please, Catherine, pass back to you, and please feel free to ask questions.
Lynsey, thank you very much.
So, would anyone like to kick off, or shall I ask the first question to get you rolling? I'll ask the first question, okay. Feel free, Lynsey, Janine, to jump in, whichever, but I wanted to ask a very basic question. How important is it that the city that you're in supports what you're doing to you actually making a success?
Jane, you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
You go.
Yeah, so that's a good question actually, because I think if it wasn't for City Edinburgh Council and Creative Scotland, we would have definitely been completely on our own in pushing the agenda of Creative Edinburgh. So they've been incredibly important in the shape, and Janine can talk more, that's her baby, so she can talk more about that. But in terms of hubs in general, I think actually the main support comes from the community, because there's no point in us having deadlines with funders if we don't know what the community wants.
Right.
So it's no point running a space if you don't know who you're going to have in it, or you don't know who your network's going to be, because it's them that inform you what they need, and then you go to the funders. So it's kind of our most valuable people were our community. They help us design what we wanted and what they wanted, and we wanted as well, being freelancers beforehand. But it's incredibly helpful. It's unbelievably invaluable for city councils to fund these spaces, because really it's a reflection of their own city, because the magnitude of the kind of creative process and I suppose they raised a platform of our creative profile. It's been a creative city internationally. Cities really benefit, city councils really benefit from that. And so it's just really time that they put their money where their mouth is and help support them back, because they're constantly looking for help from hubs, and they don't always necessarily take that back. So Edinburgh and Dundee are the only councils at the moment that are doing that in Scotland.
Can I jump in here? Sorry, Janine, and just say one word about the council here. Jim Galloway is a tremendous guy. He's been very supportive across the board, very supportive of me when we started Gayfield, and it was thanks to Carolyn that I had an introduction, and really without individuals who understand the dynamics and the difficult situation people are in when they start things up, it doesn't happen. I'm only here, we're here because of collaborative efforts and support from all sorts of people, including people in Creative Edinburgh. Lynsey's absolutely right, nothing that Creative Edinburgh do is crap, and it's just great. All the events are fantastic, they're genuinely wonderfully enthused and engaging, and there's no threshold there. You can get in and have a good chat. It's great.
Does anyone in our audience actually have
a bit to add about the city? So I suppose when we first started, I mean, what we're about is bringing our community of creatives together. So that was really the focus of, I would say, the first year and a half. It was actually working really, really hard to develop a program that was relevant, speak to lots and lots and lots of people. So I think at the beginning, thinking about us in the context of our city and what we could push, maybe was secondary at the beginning, because that's not what we were. That's not what our priority was at the beginning. But what we've realised as we've developed is, I mean, as John's saying, it's all about relationships and collaboration and learning who's in the many different departments. What are they actually, what are they interested in, and what are they trying to push forward? And there's many layers to a city, which it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of building those relationships. I mean, we've had some really tricky kind of meetings where you felt like you were, getting interrogated, and you come away thinking, oh my God, I've not represented my community well enough, or they've not really understood what we're doing. But I think being resilient and being consistent and always pushing ahead is really important, and it can be quite hard when you're doing it yourself, or just one or two of you, and you need the boost of other people to kind of keep you going forward. Yeah. So we're much more involved now with things like Edinburgh is part of the city region bid, which is investing a lot of money into Edinburgh and the surrounding 5 local authorities, which will be huge for our membership and the rest of the city. But these things have taken time for us to be part of those conversations, and that's just about building trust and reputation.
Yeah. Does anyone in the audience have an experience of running a hub that might want to chip in from your side, your perspective? No, that was tricky. Go ahead. It's Brianna. Sorry, the gentleman at the back didn't catch me.
Yeah, sure. Could I go to James from Grass and member of the Maker Library Network?
So we'll get Brianna and then yourself?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, because when you're coming from a student background and student perspective, I think students are in an in-between, because they're viewed as emerging artists, but if you haven't established yourself yet, there's really a hard time kind of getting any legitimacy in your work and your craft and developing your skills. So I think when it comes to what Creative Edinburgh is doing, and some of what we try to provide with the Arts Festival, it's establishing that voice, but trying to have some legitimacy. And I think when you're talking to different members of the creative community, they might think, oh, students, what do students have to say or have to contribute? And I think the creative sector is a lot more open to that. But I think if you're looking at kind of any other kind of sectors, if we're not viewed necessarily as graduates yet, it can be tough to kind of make your mark and have your voice. So I think kind of creative hubs help create that collaboration and that space for that. But I think that's often a challenge for a lot of students coming in.
I mean, conversely, I've been advocating for students to be part of hubs and networks automatically as a support from the Scottish Funding Council in order to address your business skills and employability issues, so that when you do graduate, you're off and running, hopefully. So, and that also helps hubs too. So it's a mutual thing. Coming from your perspective, there's a different viewpoint. And sorry, at the back there.
Yeah, I was just wondering, through the process of mapping hubs and identifying them throughout Europe, are there any clear observations that have come forward about how hubs can begin to work together, and then how those individual networks can begin to work together to become a global network, and try and stitch all of these disparate elements together?
Did you catch that, Lynsey?
No.
Okay, so the question is, in your work with EU mapping, do you know if the hubs are starting to work together and the networks start to work together, so they actually pull together as a network of networks?
Good question. That's the kind of information that you would just love to get your hands on. It's that kind of information you only find out when you bump into those people or you have a call with them. But yeah, since the forum in Lisbon, definitely people who attended the forum in Lisbon have been working together, or at least communicating together. I think something like half to 3/4 of the attendees that went to Lisbon, so that's about 100 to 150 people, made lasting contact that they thought we could do work with in the future. Obviously, we need to go back and evaluate that to see whether that happened or not. But part of the new bid we're developing is to try and pull together a leadership group, which is made up of 15 hubs across Europe, and the network Jonathan Robinson is developing, so that we can do it from this end, people can just do it from their end. It's an open network that people can be part of, and we can start to understand where the networks are, and people can collaborate as well independently.
Have you submitted your EU bid yet?
No, at the end of next month.
Why don't you put this in as an extra budget line to map the network relationships, just as an extra evaluation in the bid maybe? Don't know if that'll work.
Can I
I've just been a troublemaker.
Measuring impact is extraordinarily difficult on any of these projects. I visited the Textile Museum in Ahmedabad in 1998. 15 years later, I'm dealing with textiles and furniture design in a hub network here, and answering an evaluation questionnaire coming out of that museum would have been meaningless. But here we are, 15 years later. So there's a very real problem about grasping impact, but it is actually led by people and having the right channels of communication through to British Council. And I remember Gunnar's part of this wonderful Maker Library network,
Global, isn't it?
which is tremendous. And I think we all think about impact. It needs to remain a secondary thing because we need to lead with the passion that we've got for anything that we're particularly doing. But grabbing that impact is very difficult. It will depend on individuals feeding back in some way. And that gives me this quick thing. I need you to sign something as you go out. If you've enjoyed the evening and you'd like to make a comment, there's a book outside. Thank you.
Does anyone have a question, or I will? I've got a few here.
I was going to
You've got
ask one thing about, I think one of the biggest things about like mapping what else is out there and how to kind of kickstart collaboration is just new technologies just completely blasted open the field of that. I mean, I was doing some research for a freelance thing for like, it was tech startups and hubs and incubators. It was for Nesta, and I was just like looking online to find out, well, who's already doing it, and there was in Europe there's loads of like open source things where if people want to connect with other hubs and networks, they can kind of put up their own details.
Right.
So the responsibility, I think, is as much ours to develop that kind of research and that impact by sharing and doing it ourselves, just as much as British Council or local authorities. We can do that.
Part of it, is it just, are you just trying to get funding from the local sort of government, councils, or are you trying to get funding like local businesses as well?
Good question.
So for lots of different layers of hubs approach kind of finance differently. So for us, it was kind of interesting that our kind of seed funding came from economic development, not culture and sport, which is quite interesting, because they saw the value of kind of kick-starting the creative industries as a growing kind of area in Edinburgh, or it's maintained its growth, I would have said, because culture is such a massive thing, and they knew that the investing in that would kind of pay dividends later on. But for us to be a sustainable model, I now am responsible for 2,000 people in some way or another and bringing them together. I need to make this work in the future. So lots of looking at sponsorship models, doing things in partnership with local businesses. A lot of people give in-kind time or resource to help us do things. We look at other funding models as well. I've just applied for the Open Project Fund from Creative Scotland. And there's, Arts and Business have a wonderful sponsorship grant where they can match funds if you find sponsorship from a new business. So there's lots of different ways, but for us, what I've been focusing on is how do we generate our own money based on what we do. So, we're really good at programming, we do kind of interesting events, we've got different levels of membership, so some people can pay a little bit for an annual subscription and they get access to sort of exclusive things. So there's ways that we're experimenting on how we bring money, because I think for us, if we are a new business model, we should test things out and try new things.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be great if I didn't have any public funding?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Have you considered any physical or online marketplace for members of your hub? That's something that we've discussed a lot, the library network. While it's not the main point is not to find a commercial end to it all for people, it's about encouraging collaboration. But the individual members have to make money to keep going and keep doing the work they're doing. if there was some marketplace where they could then be promoted and ultimately
like an online
sell them.
directory.
Is that something that you've looked at at all?
So
or
on our website, we relaunched our website this year, but we have a directory. So almost kind of like a creative LinkedIn, I suppose. They can pop in a paragraph about what they do, what clients they work with, their web address, all their kind of details. So people, if they're looking for a graphic designer, they can search for graphic design, see who's part of our membership and contact them directly. I absolutely agree, that's a massive part of what we need to do more of, is promoting what our talent is, because it's such a wealth of amazing, interesting individuals and businesses doing really cool stuff. So I suppose we do a lot more of the storytelling on our social channels. So if our members are doing a project, or for example, John's just announced the new designer residency. So that's, for us, that's news from our members, so we can pop that out on Twitter and try and get a bit of a conversation there. So, but there's absolutely more that we can do to kind of promote out who's part of this cool kind of group.
I mean, I think Creative Edinburgh are an example of how that's possible to do. I mean, I've certainly, through Janine, met a lot of creatives who felt this building represents something they'd like to be part of, and they've come and hired it for a period of time to promote a product or exhibit. And so that's been an exciting form of income. And there is this struggle. We've all got this creative person, but this business person, and sometimes they do that a wee bit. But we would be here unless we could hire our building out regularly and then have some money for a creative programme. And we had a wee tricky second album start to the year. It felt a little uncomfortable and faltering, but I think actually both these people helped very much at that time. But when you thump with a roof bill that you weren't expecting, and you get this thing and all the rest of the thing, it can be tricky just to keep going. So I felt much less isolated by being part of a hub, and I felt supported by the mix of people that were able to come in here, and then led to some hire of the building, and that's all our.
And we're like, I mean, networks like Creative Edinburgh, we kind of focus on mixing people across different sectors or different kind of careers. But there's this amazing sector support in Scotland, and I can only speak for Scotland. But like your Makers Library, I mean, I heard about that through Fee Scott from MakeWorks, who, I mean, her online directory is awesome. And kind of showing how people make things and process, and she's really shining a light on makers and manufacturers in Scotland, which is amazing. So there's a lot of goodwill, I think, in Scotland, UK, Europe.
I think so. And I was just going to say about MakeWorks, I don't know if you remember, there was a Tartan Volkswagen camper van in one of Janine's pictures with Vanna and Fee and one other, I think it was the cameraman, Ross. Oh, it was Ross. And you were talking earlier about being kind of amorphous chameleon and not fitting in a box, and it was a nightmare for funders. So when Vanna and Fee first applied to Creative Scotland, they got rejected because it came in through the system didn't get it. You want to drive around in a camper van for 3 months, and you want the public first to pay for that, whilst you find manufacturers that might prototype craft things for craft people. Okay, what box does that fit in? So eventually they just kind of spoke to me, and I just said, I get it, we need to find those manufacturers who do short runs to help a maker to stop having to make every single day, say 50 handbags, if it's tweed handbags or whatever it may be. They get to their limit and they can't produce any more, they can't fulfill bigger orders, they can't grow. So if we can get a manufacturer to do a shorter run, and of course a lot of them are going, I don't trust them to do my design, I don't trust them to do the same quality, and I don't know if they'll do a short run. So eventually Fee and Vanna found those people who prototype, design, have the skills, do short runs. The manufacturers started to get excited about the fact that they would do something interesting and creative in helping somebody, so it became a mutual thing. And so MakeWorks created an amazing directory, and everybody who's part of that scheme has the MakeWorks badge, and it's fantastic. But again, funders need to have a personal relationship with the organic grassroots needs of the sector in order to respond to, there's a gap and I think we know how to fill it. And they took an amazing commitment of 3 months in a van at one point with blankets over their legs, it was so cold, and living with people all the way around Scotland. And just think, what an amazing commitment to get and root in and find those people that are leather workers, sail makers, etc. I want to ask one final question of our guest in London. Lynsey, flying flag for hubs, do you have an idea, or even if it's just your opinion, if you've not got the research finalised yet, about the impact of hubs and networks in cities and their economy? How valuable they are?
Yeah. I think there's got to be an incredible amount of research to back this up, but from our point of view, it's been hubs in creating other jobs, supporting freelancers, creating skills, creating exchanges, building the community, building the economy, profiling a city internationally, God, what else? If there's not a space for people to congregate, everyone's working on their own, and so how can people exchange and learn and do better and pitch for better things if they're working from their bedroom?
Right.
I think hubs raise a platform for one freelancer to be part of our international community of freelancers. With the connections that a hub has, they can also access them as well. There's a bit of a mixture. It's things that really, we need hard evidence to really back this up. Things that we all know, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the thing where we're falling back. We don't have hard evidence to show all this just now.
But you will soon. You can advocate for hubs. So I want to ask you if you would thank Lynsey and Janine for their expertise and thoughts tonight.
I'm just going to pause and ask Kate to come up and join us. And just say one more thing, and that's around wealth creation. We would hope that, Kate, if you'd like to take this, that working with the team we've got in Edinburgh, that we might really get this fantastic product to market. It's a stunning thing. I'm really excited about that you're going to come and work with us, and with the school next door, and I hope we can really see something exciting in terms of your own product design. So I'm just going to pause and say, what a powerhouse of women we have here, and thank you very much, and thanks again. So, to charge your glass, Lynsey, we'll have one for you. No, we're going to get a picture of you here. A little stills thing with us all together, but please, feel free, get up, stretch your legs, and grab a little drink if you wish. Thanks very much for coming, and if you could sign the book when you go out, if you feel you wish to, that'd be lovely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It's been quite fun though, because you've been at the same level as us sitting around. Where's
I'm here.
Janine?
Okay, everyone look this way.